beautiful people. The cool thing about this video is I have a sponsor again. And this guy's actually one of our own. He's from our community. And he used the Amanita muscaria mushroom to get off benzodiazepines, went through some of the same stuff that I did. And he started using Amanita and CBD. And then his friend also needed really, really high milligrams, and it was so expensive, it was killing them financially. So they decided to see where they could source it and make it themselves, and they learned all about the industry. He used his newfound health to do the same thing for other people that would be needing it. Our community. It is Minnesota Nice Botanicals, and here's the thing, if we don't go support the sponsors won't support this channel. So please go over there and just shoot Christian an email and tell him thanks for supporting the channel. What we're going to talk about today is all the stuff that you don't know about CBD. Took me forever to figure it out. And thanks to Christian, he finally helped me sort of piece it all together. I'm going down this list right here. There are 3 different kinds of CBD products that you can get. And the first one is going to be it's called full spectrum because it's got everything in it, including some THC. But it's going to be 0.3% or less of THC, and it's going to have the CBD and the flavonoids and the terpenes and everything in it. And that's going to be like the best product that you can get. And then the broad spectrum, excuse me, I got to get comfortable. Broad spectrum is where they actually take like the THC out. Like I'm highly sensitive to THC, like extremely highly sensitive to THC. If they go in and remove even that little trace amount of THC, then that's a more expensive product and more difficult for them to do. That's going to be a more expensive item for you. So if you don't have an issue with THC, I would say probably don't worry about getting that kind of a product. And then there's just the isolated CBD itself. So it's in the Entourage Effect, which we're going to talk about right here, number 4. Why this matters, those 3 kinds, why they matter. So let's move to number 2, like the cost of things and how they rip you off and everything. So we'll talk about that some as I go through everything. And then you would not believe the mislabeling that goes on. A study showed that 70% of CBD products out there are mislabeled. And what the label called it and then claimed on the label was in the bottle wasn't in the bottle. And then the oil that they put it in, the carrier oil, that's going to affect how quality it is and how cheap it is. And then how many milligrams they put in the actual container. So as you would guess, like you're supposed to pay more for more milligrams or whatever. But I can tell you that whatever you're getting in a gas station or a Quick Mart or a drugstore or a grocery store, everywhere you go, pretty much, it's going to be all of those problems. Probably mislabeled, probably the least amount of milligrams in that bottle that you can put in a bottle, in the worst carrier oil that's extracted in the worst way. Like, it's cringy. So I want you to be better informed. So let's talk about quality extraction techniques. So there's a crude extraction technique where they just squeeze the shit out of the plant. And it's going to be a hemp plant. And what defines a hemp versus marijuana plant is a hemp plant has actually been genetically modified to grow to only that 0.3% of THC in it. There's actually hemp plants that come like that. Now, you can actually just purchase the hemp plant that is 0.3% THC and smoke it, and that's legal, and it smells like weed and everything. So at least you know if you do that, you're getting a good product. You just don't know what's been sprayed on it or whatever, but that's one way to do it. But if you're going to be getting other products, edibles and bottles, where is it? Bottles of drops or whatever. This is our sponsor today. I'm going to talk about them in just a second. Then you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to this. So most of that crap that you're getting ripped off by is just like they squeeze it and you get a lot of chlorophyll and dirt and impurities and whatever they sprayed on that plant. Like they're crushing the shit out of it, and whatever comes out, that's it. That's what you got. Now you can get a full spectrum or a broad spectrum out of that, depending on what's in the plant. But if they're just crudely extracting it, that chlorophyll is going to mess with your stomach, and the impurities could mess with you. I can tell you that I have had some strong reactions to CBD in my life, and now I know why. It was probably the chlorophyll. And then another way that you can extract it is the same way that you and I think about when we talk about mushrooms and doing tinctures and stuff. You can just do a water extraction, or you can do like an ethanol, alcohol, whatever extraction, or you can do an oil extraction. Like, these are all different ways. So those are some of the better ways doing that to help pull it out and isolate it. And then there's a CO2 extraction, which is the most expensive, but it is the cleanest. It uses high-powered chemical, commercial chemical equipment to do it. But in your high-quality CBD, that's how it was extracted. And I can guarantee you, shit at the grocery store wasn't done like that. Let's talk about the Entourage Effect. This is cool because it also affects Amanita. So you know how I'm always saying I think there's other shit going on in there in my mushroom, the ibotenic acid and the muscimol. There's some effects going on in between the two. And then the fact that I'm experimenting right now with an oil extraction, which ibotenic acid and muscimol is supposed to be water soluble, so this shouldn't work, and yet it does. And it's sort of known that where color goes, also goes the active ingredients, and or like the terpenes. All of these things we're learning, those molecules can also act and boost the effect of the active ingredients. So where the color is, and the flavor is, and the smell is, riding along with those can then work synergistically with what you know of as the active ingredients. Well, this is a whole new field for CBD. It's a field that doesn't exist yet for the Amanita muscaria mushroom, but I'm playing in it and I'm experimenting with it. But I know a decade from now, we'll know everything about all the terpenes in the marijuana plant and in the hemp plant. And we will be able to dial in this terpene, and this terpene will give you this. And we'll be able to dial in microscopically the kinds of effects that you want to get out of these things. Let's talk about topical. So I didn't know this, but there's topical use for CBD. And the cool thing is that topical CBD actually is really, really good for inflammation. And I will be talking coming up soon about inflammation and pain in the Amanita mushroom. The Amanita mushroom, Amanita muscaria, it shines in helping to stop muscle spasms and pain. And in doing that and working with that, I realized a lot of my problem, and I've always known, is inflammation. When I found out about CBD actually being really great topically for inflammation, I started putting that on my knee. Back in my late 20s, I had surgery, mid-30s, I had surgery on one of my knees left over from an old gymnastics cheerleading injury. The inflammation in it has been a problem. It's just always a problem. It's just always a problem. And then as you get older, of course, inflammation in your back, but systemically inflammation is a problem. So I started using their topical on my knee, and holy crap. Okay, I know that we are used to pharmaceuticals being powerful and plant-based and mushroom-based medicines being kind of like, The only reason that's true is because we have either been led to believe, or it's been actually covered up for us, the information about the really, truly powerful ones out there. We know that's true because some plants will kill you. Well, that's a powerful fucking plant. And I always thought, God, there's got to be plants and mushrooms out there that are powerful in a good way. We know that there's some that are good, but they're not powerful. And there's some that are powerful that'll kill you. Certainly, there's got to be some out there that are powerful and are good. CBD does that topically. So it's one of those things, like, it works immediately, but it also has a buildup of the regulations. Okay, the cool thing about this is another way that they can rip you off. So the federal government only regulates that it's got to be 0.3% THC or less to be called a CBD product. That's it. The states are the ones that regulate the labels. And that's why on the cheap ass shit, you're going to see as little information on that label as possible. They try to lobby the states to only have to put the least amount of information on a label as possible. Now they can sell it anywhere they want. The state where it's being sold governs what those labels have to say. So the cool thing that Christian did is, if you look at their labels, like there's no blank space on it. I've got oil all over the label, but see how it's just crammed full of information? They go above and beyond to tell you every single thing about it because they're proud of it, because they did everything right, as you can imagine. Most things, when you dose it, when it tells you the milligrams, you know that that's per serving, right? Or per capsule. But for the CBD industry, instead of doing it per capsule or dose or serving, they only label the entire milligrams that are in the whole bottle. So what they did, what Christian decided to do, they put full spectrum, well, they've got different spectrums, broad and full or whatever, but see, they put the full spectrum on there, and then they put how many milligrams are in the whole bottle, but then on the other side they tell you the dosing per mil and then like how many milligrams per drop, because they're proud of it. That's pretty cool. The carrier oil, I didn't even think about this, which I don't know why I didn't. Most of the cheap shit comes in fractionated coconut oil because it's cheap to make. The problem with it is, because it's so cheap, is it breaks down, it biodegrades rapidly. It is highly unstable. But who cares, right? You know, as long as they get it out the door and you buy it. And that's why sometimes you'll buy a product and it doesn't work. And you're like, CBD doesn't work for me. Not only were the milligrams probably pathetically low, but it may have actually been an old product and the fractionated coconut oil breaks down quickly. Actually, one of the more stable oils out there is called MCT oil. And that's like a medium chain triglyceride. Triglycerides are just fatty acids, and they can be in really, really long, thick, complex chains. And like with animal fats, they are. And then with plant-based fats, not so much. And so you want to get a long chain, but not too long. And so a medium chain triglyceride, that's what's going to work the best. So that's what they did at Minnesota Nice Botanicals, is he researched like the most stable oil, and they even bottled it in like really dark. So when you're out there looking, make sure that you get it you'll see in big letters MCT oil. There shouldn't be too much else in your ingredient. And let's talk about stacking. So like I talked about doing Amanita with this. So I'm going to stack that and experiment with it. But Christian says that he's stacking lion's mane. So that's pretty cool. I might hit him up and get him to make a video or something about that, and like how he's doing it and why he's doing it and the results he's getting. So we don't know much about stacking CBD. Good CBD with other drugs. So if you've been stacking CBD with other drugs, will you tell me what you're doing and like what you've gotten in the comments section? And then I'm going to let you know what I got when I stacked Amanita with it. So then there's the sourcing of ingredients, which you can imagine. There are countries in the world that have very few or no regulations at all on any of this stuff. If it's for human consumption, they have very few regulations, and it could be pretty nasty stuff. Sourcing your isolates and your product or whatever from the United States, where we have a ton of regulation, means it's gonna naturally be more expensive to put it all together. And then lastly is how it's all put together. And most people don't care if it's bottled at a plant by robots and machines. But Christian does it himself, him and his partner at home. They sourced all of their ingredients here in the United States carefully, and they put them together by hand. Every single bottle you get was touched by a human being. The label was put on by a human being. So that's pretty cool. Lastly, and but not leastly, is you want to know that it's actually tested and you know what's in the product you're getting. So if you want to get the right CBD, I can tell you, my son, it saved his life, but it was costing me $85 a month to keep him in the CBD that worked. Because all the reasons I just gave you, that is how they make it good and high quality, and they know it, and they know all the ways that they could have made it cheaply, and then they take advantage of you and just really jack the price up. So there's a CBD shop near my house, and they have a topical that was half this size and twice the price. It was $60. This is like 30 or something like that, 27, I think. So the reason why what Christian wanted to do when he started his company was to make it cheaper and more affordable, but still do everything right. So let's look at the website. You can see here that all the prices that they have and the milligrams that they have. I just wanted to show you real quick, you know, like what they are doing. I want you to see right here. This is what I like about this. On the label, there's a QR code. You can scan that with your phone, and they've had every batch tested, and it'll give you the test results of what's actually in what you're using currently. But Christian himself is an amazing human, and I'm pretty empathic, and I pick up on people's energy, and if the energy ain't right, I don't work with them. And I can tell you his energy's in the right place. He's a good guy. So Christian, thank you for supporting this channel and paying me to make a video I was going to make anyway, and for teaching me what I didn't know about CBD. You can go tell Christian thanks for supporting the channel. I love you, beautiful people.